It's been a long week. I have to be honest. If I have a 1,000-yard stare in my eyes, it's not from Iraq. It's from my third CMMC assessment in the last 3 months that I've been on the receiving end of.
Well, you just can't get enough of CMMC assessments.
Just NIST 171 Alpha. I just love it so much. No, this one was important because this was a C3PAO assessment of our solution.
Okay.
Instead of client or DivCAC or whatever it was, and so this was a big one. So it was an important one.
Okay, so I know the first two went pretty well. What about this third one? Was the third time the charm also?
Well, I do have to say it didn't stop it from being very stressful. I think that's just one of those things that no matter how many times you do it, which I wouldn't wish 3 in 3 months on my worst enemy. Don't recommend it, but it's tough no matter what, even if you've gone through it so many times. And we did come out the other end. We are going to be CMMC Level 2 certified. I'm very happy to say.
Wow. So just to make sure I'm clear on this, the ATX Defense space, which is your fully managed CMMC solution for Level 2, is going to be CMMC Level 2 certified. Now, is this the solution?
Yeah. Our solution as an enclave, so as it's reported in EMAS, is as that enclave.
Yeah.
Call it CMMC space is
CMMC.
It'll be Level 2 certified.
Wow. Okay. I think that's a pretty big deal.
I'm pretty excited. Yeah. I'm sure there are people out there that still think you can't use Google Workspace for CMMC. Please send me your email address and I will send you our certificate once we have it.
You should print it out and actually send it to them physical copies if they want to.
Yeah, just have it in make a virtual background. Just that's the certificate. But no, it's huge for us, right? Obviously, and it proves that it wasn't just a fluke that we sailed through the DivCAC assessment, that our clients sailed through their assessment. I mean, it's real. And it's real. And I think it now shows that, I know it's kind of a tagline, but that CMMC doesn't have to be an expensive nightmare, that there are ways to do it. And that the role of an MSP is so important in this because, again, there's just so much that is inherited from the cloud service provider that we do for ourselves that we do for others. But going through this was obviously 18 months and thousands of hours of work. But now that we've done that and is certified, hopefully it'll be much easier for the small businesses. We actually had one today is really kind of touching. Told us that they were getting quotes from $120,000 to $500,000 to become assessment ready, and that going with us is the only reason they did not shut down the business. And that kind of stuff, that's why I do. That's why I got into this. As much as I hate compliance, that is something that makes me very glad that I've been able to be involved in the space the last couple of years. And there's a lot more work to do. There's still a lot more challenges, right? It's very easy when it's all cloud-based, but it gets a lot more challenging whenever there's physical CUI and scope. And so we're now trying to figure out how to take that on, right? It was the final boss of CMMC, but we thought, let's get this done. Let's get our environment certified first. And then, go from there, just build on from there. Just really, hopefully, just partially kidding about sending people our certification certificate, but I will if they want it. But really, I just hopefully at this point, there's no confusion. Yes, Google Workspace with Gemini, Gen AI can be used for CMMC. It can be done. 3 assessments passed.
It's real.
It is pretty real.
So explain what that means for CMMC space customers from an assessment standpoint now that they're using a certified solution.
That's a great question. So the CMMC final rule says very vaguely that if an ESP, managed service provider like us, gets CMMC certified, it can, I think the word's reduce their effort on an assessment, which really doesn't, what does that even mean? What does reduce effort mean? The CMMC assessment process that we have to use as C3PAOs does pretty clearly say what it means. And it essentially says that, again, if an ESP has a certification and they say they manage controls, the C3PAO has the right to verify that's being done and nothing's changed, but that they can, it doesn't say specifically inherit that and not have to reassess it. And I think that's why I really think MSPs, for better or for worse, you project 3-5 years into this, you'll have a number of certified MSPs that do anywhere from 30 to 100% or almost 100% of the requirements, and then that'll be just inherited down by the OC, and the OC will be evaluated on what isn't done.
Okay, and actually, let me pull up the version of the. So this is the CAP, the CMMC assessment process. And let's see, it actually talks about, I think the section you just mentioned, let's minimize it. It mentions where the assessment team voluntarily has a level 2 or a level 3 certificate, which you've voluntarily done that. It should anticipate a lower level of effort on behalf of OSP for the assessment An assessment team confirms possession of valid certificate. Should ensure still implement it, maintain. Yeah, I think this is this is section pretty much.
Yeah, it says the security requirements are under the responsibility of the ESP are in a validated state. So it doesn't say inheritance, but that's certainly how I read it. And that's how as a CC3AO, if someone came to me and said my MSP is CMMC certified, they take care of 106 controls on their shared responsibility matrix. I mean, I would, again, want to see documentation, want to make sure that it's being implemented. You still talk to the ESP. They're still involved in the assessment. It's very clear to me that you don't have to re-adjudicate all 320 assessment objectives, which has been done for me the last 3 months, 3 times, 960 assessment objectives, essentially. Hopefully, don't have to do that again until, well, I guess 3 years.
Well, 3 years, yeah. Wow, this is a really big deal. Did you take the time to celebrate, or you just came straight to?
I don't have time. I don't have time to celebrate.
Maybe this weekend.
Maybe this weekend, definitely. It's exciting though, and it's exciting for us. Well, mainly just because I don't have to go through the torture of another assessment, another full assessment anytime real soon. But also, just the reason we got into this. I know we said before in the different assessments is just to try to do the right thing and get back to the defense community and try to keep small businesses in the defense industrial base. And I know, our solution is not perfect for everyone, but there's certainly enough organizations out there like the one that said they were going to shut down their company had they not found an affordable solution. Yeah, just very happy for what that means for them. Yeah. And we're just the first, right? Like I know I'm a huge fan of Google and their technology and security because I know how bad the alternatives are, but there will be other MSPs that do this. I really don't think this is if a guy with a public relations degree from a state school can figure this out, I'm confident that there's a lot of people out there that can make this work and do it for Microsoft, do it for Google as well. I welcome the competition. I think it'll be fun because then once we have that, people can be transparent, posting the prices, posting what they cover, getting certified. Then it'll be a competition of who can offer the best service or the best whatever, and hopefully we'll be out of the business of people signing NDAs to get pricing. That's what I'm really excited about.
That'll be a good day for the deal. Absolutely. I certainly, this is a big deal, and it has a significant impact. Like you said, it's going to result in lowering that barrier of entry for small businesses to do business or to deliver their products and services to the DoD. That is major because with the traditional solutions, and just that cost barrier, it's an advantage to the large defense contractors, but those small mom and pop shops, that's the CMMC compliance could break them, could bankrupt them, or just determine them it's not worth the return on investment. Now we have affordable solutions like CMMC space. It's really, really exciting. And you mentioned about the competition. I do think that, certainly our fellow colleagues in the CMMC ecosystem, it's real, it's coming, or it's here. And as more especially small business find out about this, it's going to be a no-brainer for them to go with this solution if they don't have physical CUI in scope. Like you mentioned, you're already working on that as well. But so to be determined. But in regards to, they just have digital CUI, I'm not aware of an alternative that's as affordable and that is now CMMC Level 2 certified. So I find it almost trivial now when I'm having conversations with other assessors or consultants, and they're kind of nitpick like the marketing of ATX CMMC space. And I'm like, okay, what are we comparing this to? What other solution CMMC solution are you comparing it to? If you're
I know a couple that have their own $60,000 solutions that do much less. That I'm off the holiday card list on that one, but it is exciting. I know I said in one of our chats before, and I do mean this, like especially for a veteran or someone that's still serving that wants to get into this space, so to speak. Again, like I said, there's a lot. I don't want to understate how hard it is to start a business and build a product and invest in all this stuff. I would not recommend just randomly doing this over a weekend trying to launch a CMMC platform, but there's a way to do it if you take a disciplined approach to it and plan it out and have a number of milestones. And if anyone is in that boat and looking to get into this space, I think it really is going to be not only a huge business opportunity, but just a critical way to support national security after you've served. And that's the part that's been really exciting for me as my military retirement approaches in like 6 weeks. I feel like I'll continue to get to serve as the business owner providing this for small businesses. So that's really cool. Although if you're listening to this and you are still on active duty, don't do that. Just join us for SkillBridge. I don't know if I mentioned last time we opened up our SkillBridge. We have 8 candidates right now that are going to be coming through starting, I think, April 1st. Probably should start planning for that one.
Reinforcements are coming
next week.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be fun though. And again, the shortage of assessors. That's what I'm told. C3POs are raising prices. That's one way to do it. Our philosophy is just make more assessors. And so we're going to get them in, get them CCP, hopefully get them CCA, right? They all have clearances. So they'll get their tier 3 immediately. And then hopefully people listening to this podcast can hire them if we don't. So I say all that to say, like, please also do this. If you're a MSP and you want phenomenal help, great thinkers, hard workers, also people that can become CCAs almost instantly. Scopers is just, I can't imagine a better way. Just don't take the best candidates. Please let me have those. That's my only ask.
Save them for you.
Yeah.
All right. No, that's great. And I know once I first became aware of a CMMC space and price point and being a 100% solution, the caveat of there are those shared responsibilities. What is it, 8 in terms of the assessment objectives that you
for
all
us,
yeah, for you all, which is essentially almost boils down to administrative requirements that you also provide with the policies and everything. But I immediately thought about, like, wow, this is a major disruption to the CMMC ecosystem. Everything that I've been taught about what's available and the pricing and things like that. So I realized that colleagues are going to have to pivot if they really want to compete. Like you say, you welcome the competition, but it's going to require kind of rethinking how they are approaching providing CMMC services.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question. I think that a VDI solution is going to have a great entry-level option for smaller businesses that don't have huge demands. Again, as the C3PO side, as we're booking more and more assessments, obviously we're not booking a lot of people that have VDI solutions because there's just not a lot of providers. And so a lot of them are doing it fully in scope, kind of the hard way. And so obviously we'll see how that plays out with those assessments. Hopefully they all pass. But yeah, I think there's still a whole lot of businesses that for whatever reason would prefer just to do everything in scope. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you want to be fully in scope and get GCC high because you like Office, great, it's fully compliant, it'll be fine. I mean, it will be expensive, but you'll have a solution that will work on all of your endpoints and everything else. I just think, that makes sense for Lockheed Martin. I just think that just gets overwhelming for smaller organizations. So I think there'll always be a need for people that can do the in-person stuff, the physical stuff. Again, manufacturing, that's the thing you mentioned earlier. It's the group that I feel like has some of the smallest contracts, it seems, some of the lowest revenue or lowest margin on their contracts because they're not, consultants like us, right? They're actually making real stuff. But then the hardest CMMC requirements because of all the in-scope, in-person stuff. And so, we're going to try to figure it out. We think we have a path forward with in-scope Chromebooks. But again, even that's not going to be a panacea. There's still a number of organizations that we talk to that just have really, really hard problems that they need to solve. And so, there's always going to be a need for that. Still, regardless, it's going to be a good industry to get into. Yeah, no, it'd be fun to see. I mean, of course, the other not breaking news, but just it's been floating around is, will there even be a CMMC because of all the questions in the new administration? And I think there's a lot of people that really would love to see the demise of CMMC that are reading things that come out, but with their own little spin on things. And like, oh, this is proof. This is proof that it's true. Yeah, we talked about today in the weekly C3PAO call. I mean, who knows, right? First off, obviously, I have no insider knowledge. Anything could happen. But with the Title 32 rule in place, the question is about the Title 48 rule, 60 days after the new Congress is seated, what's going to happen? It just seems extremely unlikely that they're going to say, you know what, this thing we've been working on since 9/11, it's too hard. It's fine. Like we're just gonna undo it. Again, could happen. Lots of crazy stuff's happened in the last couple of months, but it just seems extraordinarily unlikely. Now, maybe it'll get delayed. The third-party assessment requirement gets delayed, or maybe something else like that happens. But I would just be astonished if at this point it got canceled because there's just nothing else to replace it. Not even a concept of a plan, as some would say, to replace it. And everyone agrees that cybersecurity is critical because of all the reasons that we all know so well.
Absolutely. And what are your thoughts with, you see that Katie Arrington, she's back, DOD, they consider her the mother of CMMC. So I think that's kind of a sign that likely CMMC is not going anywhere. What are your thoughts when you saw that she came back as a CISO?
It's kind of what I was alluding to. Like it's a pretty good sign. So there is one thing that was brought up on the call is that, I had to remember the details and they're not important for this call, but basically some member of Congress said, CMMC, it's from the last administration, we got to get rid of it. But that's not true, right? Like Katie Arrington was in the Trump administration and this was a Trump administration initiative. So I think it just took so long to make happen. That's why it seems like it's not that old. But I think considering all of that, the history, the fact that she's back in, very business oriented folks that are coming into really critical roles like in USD A&S and some other places. Yeah, to your point, all signs seem to point to this is something that we're going to do. And of course, there's also this FedRAMP X thing that's coming around. Don't know a lot more about it than that, but just taking the approach of let's reimagine. While we have the initiative, while we have the ability to do it, let's take some of these things on that were tremendously challenging and have caused a lot of pain and problems, and just reimagine it. I mean, honestly, if anything, I'm a little bit jealous. Just all of us that were involved in defense innovation organizations, like I was in Defense Innovation Unit for a long time in uniform. You could do some amazing stuff, but there's just so much you can't do. Like you can't get rid of regulations. I mean, you can kind of work through the system, around the system, but you're still going to have to play within the rules. And so the fact that the administration is truly taking a chance to say, do we need changing of the rules here? Certainly when it comes around to acquisition and some of the things with FedRAMP and everything else, it does seem like a breath of fresh air compared to just what I've seen the last 20 years, where even the best intentions, best efforts, it's challenging to work within the overall system. So I'm bullish on CMMC. I'm very happy that we've been able to, at least again for the subset of businesses that we can support, that we've been able to demonstrate that there is now, we think, a very affordable path to meet all the requirements without putting undue pressure on a small business. And again, it's a huge market opportunity. It really is. Any entrepreneur that understands DoD and wants to be involved in something completely greenfield and new, like this is just
where it's at. Super exciting.
I promise I'm not in it because I love compliance. I promise.
It's not your first love.
It's not my first love. It is definitely ironic though. Again, growing up in the cyber warfare world and time at NSA and other places, you don't necessarily grow up thinking maybe one day if I keep doing this and I do well, I'll do compliance.
Graduated.
But yeah, no, it's super fun. And even one of our SkillBridge guys that is just so exceptional. He's also an NSA guy, did cyber exploitation on network operations for NSA again. So like the last person that ever would think he'd be doing compliance. He loves it. It's just so different, right? Just working with people, talking about problems. It's just such a different way of doing things. And just to come into it with a good philosophy, we've been very lucky with our assessments that our assessors have a similar kind of mindset of following the rules and not going crazy. Even starting with DIPCAC, it was just great. They went through NIST 171 Alpha. We knew what to expect. There was nothing like I've heard these crazy stories out from left field.
Curveballs. No assessors going rogue.
Nothing, no going rogue.
Okay.
Actually, one C3PO told me a few days ago that their assessments take 3 months. And I'm still thinking about that one because I'm thinking, the closest experience to me that going through an assessment is like polygraph. And do you want a polygraph to last 3 months, or do you want it to last, a couple of hours? I don't really understand who would sign up for that, but more power to them if that's what companies want. I would not want that. And even as an assessor, I would be stressed because again, you're stressing out the company, the OSC. Like it's impossible not to. We don't want to do that for 3 months. But anyway, it's been crazy to see just how much the rules have been interpreted and all the different ways things have been done. And I know I mentioned last time we chatted that we're at the weekly meetings, we're talking about what logos people can use when they're certified. And I think that's a great sign of the ecosystem maturing and getting out of some of the foundational problems if we're now able to talk about logos. And I think it's really neat to see just how it's all being interpreted, as long as it's being done in a good faith manner, not against any of the regulations. You could end up having a number of different ways. There is no one way to do CMMC, right? That's the thing that I think you realize pretty quickly. Lots of different ways to do it. And I'll say for my 3 assessments, each one, all different groups of people, all found different things that they wanted to dive deep on. And of course, I'm like, but DIPCAC said was okay. But doesn't matter, right? Because an assessor can do whatever.
Their discretion.
Yeah, their discretion. So it really was fascinating what came up in each one that was so different and valid, but just different each time. And so, I would not want that to be 3 months, but that's just it.
Funny, we talk about whatever we call them, some of the interesting comments that ATX CMMC space gets. So I was in one thread and someone had mentioned, I highlighted that, ATX Defense has been through a DIPCAC assessment and they had a client go through a CMMC Level 2 certification assessment. Like, what more do you want to see? And the person responded that the training isn't the same. Training isn't what it used to be for the assessors. pretty much trying to discredit.
Oh,
so
I missed that one. I'm so sorry I missed that. I was busy with the assessment this week. I'm sorry. I should tell that person. I was busy passing an assessment this week. I didn't have time.
So what are they going to say now on this third one?
See his comment.
Different. I have to screenshot it for you because you may not have access
That's
to
it. Yeah, no, I do. I love we should make the mean tweets a session for all of our
the mean
conversations.
tweets. Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, it's just like, again, you can find it online from some major MSPs. The fact that you can't use Google for CMMC is still out there today in 2025. I mean, there is a lot of bad information out there, and I have to go find that comment. Maybe I can tag DipCac in response to that because I don't know, our assessors seem pretty confident, but I don't know, training maybe isn't what it used to be. Yeah, that's
what ironic, buddy.
Maybe
this third one might finally convince the person. I don't know, but let's just say they had vested interest for CMMC space not to pass. But on that note, Zach, before we get ready to close out, do you have any suggestions as far as for those organizations who really can't get away from physical CUI, some ways they could potentially reduce the scope, their burden, just make it not as cumbersome or expensive?
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, certainly anything that's going to help automate things that you do or systematize things. It's just, especially with the physical controls and the media protection controls. Especially, I mean, there's just things that you'll have to do, but make sure that if you are writing policies on your own, that they are, easily understood and you're documenting things. I mean, that's the thing that came up in all three assessments. We said, we do this annually, or we do this monthly, or we do this. And then they're like, okay, show us how you did this, right? So just make sure that you're paying attention to the little things that you may not think are that big of a deal, because they're going to be a huge deal when you're on an assessment and someone says, yeah, we keep a visitor access log because we have physical CUI that we have to protect. And they're like, okay, show me who signed into this 3 months ago. And you're like, well, I mean, we don't actually keep that stuff. Like, we just, I don't know, right? Things like that. And it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. So, I think that's probably the biggest advice I could have now after going through 960 assessment objectives. That's
a common thread. Make sure you do what you say you're doing.
Yeah, so physical, virtual, doesn't matter. You're doing something, make sure you're actually doing it. Make sure there's some kind of documentation. I'll put a plug out there because I can't not. But like for us now that Gemini is FedRAMP high, all of our meetings, we just have Gemini take notes, FedRAMP high notes. And so
I can't wait to get
that. Like, you had a change management meeting on March 27th, prove it. Okay, well, here's some notes that our FedRAMP AI took. That's going to be really helpful for us, I think, to keep track of all the different means, because again, these assessors, they want to see proof. They want to see evidence, right? That's one of
that's their job.
Ways to do it.
Absolutely. I think that's a good note to close out on, Zach. Hopefully give you some time back so you can celebrate, however you choose to celebrate. But this is a major milestone. I know your clients are going to be celebrating. There's going to be much less burden on them for the assessment. So that's exciting. Great impact. Yeah. So congratulations. If you receive value from this episode, I invite you to subscribe and like so that you're the first to know when we release new episodes. Also, check out CMMCproof.com to learn more about the arsenal of resources that we provide to equip you to conquer CMMC. We'll see you next time.